20% of seats in national parliaments. Today, that number has risen more than double to 27%. Women's leadership in peace process has gained recognition through UN Security Council Resolution of 1325, which acknowledges that peace is stronger and more lasting when women are at the table. And yet, we must acknowledge the unfinished work. 1 in every 3 women worldwide still experience gender-based violence. Women continue to earn, on average, 20% less than their male counterparts. In too many places, access to healthcare, education, and leadership opportunities remain unequal. And this is why Beijing 30 is not only a commemoration, it is a recommitment. How many of you here are part of the Beijing Conference since 1995? Or know someone who was there? I stand here not only as a leader and an educator, but a woman whose own story has been marked by resilience and healing through this process. It is in that spirit that I present to you today the African Woman Voice and Tears, from Bitter to Better. This book is part of the journey. Let me pause to thank the authors, the visionary, Dr. Ada. Come on, put your hands together for her. And all of the other authors for this collection. It is more than poetry. It is a sacred archive of resilience, healing, and transformation. It carries the voice of women, particularly African women, whose tears tell stories of pain, but also plant seeds of hope. These poems lament, but they also burn with fire of resilience. They cry out, but they also sing with the melody of hope. The silence finds speech, the broken strength, and the wounded healing. The tears of women are not hidden here. They flow, but they do not drown us. They water the soil of courage. They do not break us, they build us. This book is dedicated to women in ministry and peace ambassadors everywhere. Women everywhere, those who, against impossible odds, choose to heal instead of harm, to build instead of break, and to lead instead of withdrawing. It honors women whose daily lives are themselves acts of resilience. Resilience, resistance, and renewal. But let us be clear. Beijing 30 is not a chapter closed. It is the story unfolding. It's a flame we must carry forward. The Declaration dared us to imagine a world where women's voices are not silenced, but celebrated. Not marginalized, but magnified. From bitter to better echoes that call. Empowerment is not a destination, it is a journey. Today, as we celebrate, we gather not merely to remember, healing and not an event, it is a movement. Peace is not a dream, it is a daily decision. I offer this book as a testament, a bridge, and as a beacon. A testament of what women have endured and overcame. A bridge connecting nations, generations, and communities. A beacon pointing us toward the world we dared to imagine in Beijing 30 years ago. A world where women's voices are not silenced, but celebrated. Excellencies, colleagues, esteemed guests, together, let us move from bitter to better. Together, let us write the poetry of justice, the prose of peace, and the story of shared humanity. The tears of women are not the end of the story. They are the ink with which we write better tomorrow. I thank you.
What a beautiful ending. The ink. Tears. Ink. Wow. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor. At this time, we're going to move into women and men in leadership and their role as key players in promoting peace. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us please recognize First Lady, Her Excellency Anne-Marie, as she departs from us. Thank you very much, Her Excellency, for gracing your presence. So coming to speak to us now is Honorable Sarah Williams, the President of the Parliament of St. Martin. Okay, she is, yes, sorry.
Excellencies, First Ladies, distinguished guests, sisters and brothers. The call that I'll be making to you today is the call that brought me here today. And that is a call, a consciousness of always asking yourself, regardless of your own circumstances, your own triumphs and challenges, what is the next woman facing? And so today, as we celebrate the World Day of Peace, remarkably, but justifiably so, we are ringing the bell of peace. Because if we look around the world, we would find reasons to toll the bell. But by ringing the bell, it reminds all of us of our own duties. And the call I spoke about earlier was one of not feeling comfortable or challenged only by your own achievement or challenges, but with that constant nagging thought of what the next woman, girl, or child is facing at this time. It answers my question. How did I get here? I got here here by looking not only at my situation, which is a relatively comfortable one, because I live in the beautiful region of the Caribbean. I live on a small, very small island called St. Martin. An island, both Dutch and French, historically, but when it comes to our culture, when it comes to our womanhood, it is one of what we all face on this planet. So it is an honor to join all of you as we celebrate the 2025 United Nations Day of Peace during the 80th session of the General Assembly. And so today, as we ring the peace bell, we affirm that peace must not be the silence of fear, but the sound of justice, dignity, and human possibility. As I mentioned, I speak from the perspective of small island developing states like my island, St. Martin. Our islands, and we boast of it, are resilient, but we are deeply vulnerable. We are vulnerable to hurricanes, to rising seas, to economic shocks and debt burdens that stifle opportunity. And for women, these vulnerabilities are magnified. They are the first to lose livelihoods, the first to pick up the pieces after disaster, and often the last to be recognized in decision making. But these experiences are not ours alone. Across the African continent, across other continents, women face the violence of war, the trauma of displacement, the hunger of drought, and the weight of inequality. In conflict zones, in refugee camps, in fields scorched by climate change, women are holding communities together, often with little recognition or support. So as I grapple with an issue like mental health for our small community and small communities in the Caribbean, I reached out to Dr. Kapoor, just by coincidence. And that networking, the feelings we share, the passions we share, was one that then transformed into other fora. I have participated in the Caribbean-African dialogues. I have participated in matters such as the reproductive rights of all women and genders across the world. But when it comes for us reaching out, realizing our own vulnerabilities, it is that solidarity, it is that collaboration that make you strong and that will continue to make us strong. Because beyond islands and continents, we know this truth. We need voices of peace wherever peace is threatened or diminished, whether by war or conflict, by hunger or poverty, by gender oppression or stripping away of human dignity. The answer is the same. We need women's voices. We need your voices, men and women voices, for women's dignity in today's world. We need youth voices, and we need leaders willing to listen to those who carry the heaviest burdens. The peace bell reminds us that peace is fragile, but also that peace can be resound if we ensure that women from every corner of the globe are heard, empowered, and included. And so, my sisters and brothers, when we speak of peace, let us see the women of small islands, of Africa, of other continents, of every nation, resilient, determined, and leading. Because peace is incomplete until every voice is valued. So let us build peace together with courage, with equity, and with solidarity. We speak of the SDG 16, and rightfully so. We need peaceful institutions in this world. We need persons who not only understand and advocate, but promote peace. But without the SDG 5, there can be no peaceful institutions. There can be no peaceful voices unless we look at SDG 5 and we promote gender, women and children equality in this world. So my call and my reason for being here is one of not feeling comfortable or challenged by my own circumstances. And let me tell you my own circumstances. When St. Martin, that little island, in fact you don't have to search long and hard for it, because it is a very known community and a very known island in terms of tourism. While we are in totality only 37 square miles, I did not make a mistake, that's what it is. We are hosts on an annual basis to millions of tourists onto our shores. And so while I could feel relatively happy with my circumstances as an island, in fact, when St. Martin got the autonomous status of a constituent state in 2010, I was proud to serve as that country's first prime minister for a period of 4 years. I fought relentlessly for the autonomy of my small island, because I believe that it begins with each and every one of us. And if we are looking for assistance, whether in voice or otherwise, we have to show our determination. And so after, I want to use the word fight, of approximately 10 years, we were given the autonomous status within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, responsible for our own governance. And so it is up to us in St. Martin and all of us here today to prove that what we are fighting for and have fought for, that we are willing to stand up for it, we are willing to advocate it, we are willing to let our voices be heard for those who don't have the opportunity, such as we have, to be here today and to speak from this vantage point. That is my call to you. Don't rest on your laurels of your own achievements, but wonder every night you go to sleep, what is the next woman, girl, or child facing in this world today? Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And if I did not step out of the mold, the constitutional mold that basically we are part of, I would not have been here. But nobody can tell my story like I can. Nobody can tell yours like you can. Tell your story and defend everything that you believe in. That is my word to you. Thank you. God bless you, and may your country continue to grow from strength to strength, because you are your country. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause. Moving on, we will now hear from Alicia Douglas. She's the founder and CEO of WaterRising.org, UN Women's Empowerment Principles. And she'll be speaking to us on driving ESG impact by empowering women and sustainable communities, and strengthening communities, sorry. Alicia Douglas? Okay, we will come back to Ms. Alicia Douglas. Let us move on to Dr. Vin Menon, blockchain strategist, impact leader, UN advocate, co-founder, and CEO of AQ UAE, co-founder and strategic advisor, Midway Mindwave DAO NILA token.
Distinguished guests, excellencies, and today I'm so honored and privileged to be here to celebrate 30025 United Nations Year of Peace. And first of all, I want to thank Public Foundation and Executive Chairman, His Excellency Sergio is here, and his support, where I would like to share my thoughts on how the foundation of World Peace Day can be created or can be built based on the United Nations SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals. So we all understand this fact that once we address the 70 SDGs, and if we are in a position to accelerate these SDGs to achieve the target by 2030, which is due to the COVID, you all understand that it is slightly running behind the target. There are a lot of ways where technology can work and help to accelerate this whole process. So I feel that I'm privileged here to share with you some of the technology aspects of how we are helping and accelerating these goals to achieve by 2030. So once the foundation is achieved, we all know that we achieve the target of the World Peace Day. So now, going back to some of the SDGs, for example, SDG 30, where we are talking about climate action. So that is one area we specialize in, and we contribute a lot into these this SDGs. And let me share with you the background of it. So this is about, we all understand we are coming from the world where a lot of natural resources are available. Now, think about the scenario. We all understood during the COVID how expensive was buying an industrial oxygen. So let's think about a scenario where we have tens of millions of hectares of Amazon rainforest available today, and that is contributing to the world as a dance, as providing oxygen. Now, how about the concept, technologically verified, Bangalore, and using latest technologies like blockchain and AI, if we convert these nature-based assets and the output of nature-based assets, for example, oxygen, water, biomass, biodiversity, which is also supporting the ecosystems in a big way, then soil organic matters, then cooling effects, which is provided by these forests and rainforests to the nature. Then cloud condensation, which is contributing to the rain. All these aspects, if we are in a position to capture, quantify, and bring that back into the right use and help the people to grow. And in that process, those who are the gatekeepers of these assets are getting incentivized, and in that process, they are uplifting the community and their well-being, and this is the area we are working on. So just to give you a background, so one of our co-founders who started this journey around 42 years back in a small village in Sri Lanka, roughly around 7 to 8 hours drive from Colombo City. So Dr. Renel Senanai, he started the concept of analog forest. And this was created, artificial forest, not artificial trees, a well-designed architecture forest is created on a desert land or probably a free land, and converted these forests into today probably one of the most high-yielding forests in the world. Just to give you some numbers, 17 acres of this forest is contributing roughly year on year 20 to 23 million worth of intangible values by this forest, which includes biomass, biodiversity, soil organic matters, and so on, like cooling effects, CCNs, and so on, and capturing this using the latest technology like blockchain and AI, putting that back into a platform, a decentralized platform, and we are helping to convert this into a bankable and sustainable digital asset, which is fully insured, and we brought in like the traditional finance partners like Lloyd's of London syndicates and the top audit firms and valuation companies. So they are validating this process. They are valuing this value, as well as they are bringing insurance partners like Lloyd's of London syndicates to wrap this value so that it becomes a financial asset, and we bring that into the world. And someone, mostly one of these ESG funds, are acquiring this, and the proceeds are going back to the society to help to promote ESG initiatives. So think about the scenario. We are only talking about 17 acres over a village called Balipora, 7 hours from Colombo City in Sri Lanka. Now, think about what we have here in African continent, Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, talking about Amazon forest. The kind of opportunity where we can convert that into bankable, insured, sustainable assets, which automatically help to uplift the mankind and the community and contributing back to the society. And automatically we are helping accelerating these SDG goals by supporting and uplifting the communities. For example, when we were having a discussion in Amazon, we are talking about 500 this community which is trying to uplift using these resources. So why don't we give a solution using the latest technology? We are actually so privileged to be here because we are living in the age of AI and blockchain. Why don't we use that to convert these assets and put that in terms of financial capital, which automatically supports all the ESG initiatives, at the same time accelerating SDG goals to achieve what we want to achieve by 2030. And that, I believe, and I strongly believe that that is the foundation of achieving the world peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we will have Ms. Alicia Douglas. She's the founder and CEO of UN Women's Empowerment Principles Ambassadors. Water Rising, sorry. Yes, I was about to go back to the Water Rising. Please. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, on this first day for international peace, I come to you and I commend you for your efforts, your work. I know that this work is not easy, and I always say that when we really need to send in women, the reason why we send in women is because we can speak so eloquently, but we also bring a resiliency to the table when we show up. As the founder of waterrising.org, we are launching which what we're calling the Water House, where we will bring in ministers of the water sector, along with finance, heads of states, along with private capital and NGOs and entrepreneurs to focus on $7 trillion worth of investment for water infrastructure globally. In July, the World Bank, along with the World Economic Forum, put forward the efforts of the stating that we need $7 trillion over the next 20 years to replace 100 years of water infrastructure. Water, as we all know, is linked to everything. It also bears the burden for women. This burden that women, as far as for carrying water, along with the violence that goes to the side with women carrying water, we want to be able to change that and really start focusing on water getting the necessary investments that it needs. As we move forward to do this, we have strong partnerships to be able to do that. With our recent USOC status, along with our partnership with UN Women and the UN Women's Empowerment Principles, the International Labor Organization, along with the UN Water. The UN Water Conference is going to be held in Dubai in 2026. This is our call to action for all of our nations to be able to come together and countries to make an effort moving forward to be able to invest in a new generation of water infrastructure for the next century. So over the next 20 years, we see each and every one of you as being leaders and being able to do that and to be able to not just to be able to lend your voices, but for us to actually develop out what that narrative is going to look like, to be able to take to our, not just our ministers, but to our citizens within our communities. Most do not realize that gas, oil, and electric are all regulated differently, which is really the problem at hand. When we understand what the problem is, water has been undervalued, but it's really the very essence that sustains and provides us with life. There's nobody that better understands that than women. We are the carriers of life. We also carry the responsibilities that it happens when we have a crisis in our own countries. So today, I ask each and every one of you to join us in building the Water House. You can get in contact with me at waterrising.org and join this initiative as we move toward the UN Water Conference. It's being hosted by Senegal and the UAE. So again, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we know the time is of the essence, but each of you are a drop. But when we come together, we are a tsunami. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elise. And Ms. Elise, to your surprise, my elder sister name is Elise. Same exact spelling. Yes, a beautiful name. Love the name. That's a sidebar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, let us shift gear a little bit and look at rights of women in leadership and the role and their role as key players in promoting peace. So coming to speak to us will be Honorable Edwina Francis Martin, Esquire, Commissioner, Public Administrator of Richmond County. Let's give our round of applause.
me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Excellencies, First Ladies, distinguished guests and attendees, greetings from the Isle of Staten Island. I believe that I was invited today, and seeing all of the speakers and everyone today, I'm a little flabbergasted to tell you the truth. But I think I was invited to talk a little bit about the local perspective of promoting peace and promoting empathy and promoting compassion in our everyday lives, work and volunteer endeavors. I thought the prayer of St. Francis was an appropriate opening for a gathering about peace. And I'm gonna speak from the US perspective. 105 years ago, women achieved suffrage in the United States. But putting women front and center is still a radical act, believe it or not. And our status consistently lags behind men. Just a few examples. Women earn less than men. Amongst full-time year-round workers, women are typically paid 78% of what men are paid. The same as in 1920, the year we won our right to vote. The needle actually has barely, the national level, has barely moved. Over a lifetime of work, which is approximately 47 years, the total estimated loss of earnings of women compared with men because of this is $700,000 for a high school graduate, $1.2 million for a college graduate, and over $2 million for a professional school graduate. Because women make less money on average, it takes us longer to pay off our student loans, we incur higher credit card debt and other debt, and we have less disposable income to save for a car, a mortgage, and other major expenses. This limits our lifetime earnings, savings, and benefits, making us much more vulnerable to poverty. More than 1 in 7 women in the United States live in poverty, with about 43% of them living in what is considered extreme poverty. Nearly 3 million women 65 and older live in poverty, twice as many as men. And women remain, and this has been talked about by other presenters today, but we remain, despite the fact that we're 51% of the population, we still hover at just under 30% in elected office nationwide. So, but despite these rather disheartening statistics, I remain hopeful for the future despite everything happening right now. And why? Because of events like this one, bringing attention to these issues, speaking facts and truth into the air. Women hold the power to be the change we need to see. 40% of households in the US with children include a mother who is either the sole or primary earner for her family, 40%. We make up close to 50% of the workforce at 47, and that's even with all of the targeted hirings of women since January. Besides bringing our own authentic styles, women in the workplace bring curses, and I'd like to bring my curse up with me, filled with compassion, empathy, communication, resiliency, and solidarity. Women do not have time for braggadocio because there is no I or me in we. And women focus on transformational leadership, seeking to develop others, to listen carefully, and to collaborate on creative solutions to problems and challenges. I am Staten Island's first woman and first person of color public administrator. Now you may be asking yourself, what the heck is that? What is a public administrator? So what I do is head a city agency in every borough in New York City and every county in New York State. Not every county, but most counties have a public administrator's office or an office that does something similar to mine. We administer, i.e. take care of, the estates of persons who pass with no family and no will or trust or other document laying out how they would like their things taken care of. I strive every day to bring all of the traits that I discussed to this office, to communicate what our mission is, because no one knows. But it's an important function. To explain to people why it is so vitally important to create a plan for when they pass. The New York City Council did a study of advanced planning about a year and a half ago, and Staten Island had the lowest rate, particularly amongst communities of color. To ensure that our neighbors whose passing are so forlorn and bereft of friends and family are remembered for their humanity and treated with the dignity and respect that we all deserve. Staten Island is the only borough in New York City and in New York State that ensures that decedents under the public administrator's care are buried on Staten Island with dignity, respect, and compassion, and not sent to New York City's Pauper's Field, Hart Island, which has been the burial place for the poor since the end of the Civil War in New York City. It's almost full. I also volunteer on the local level with organizations. I'm a past president of the Staten Island Women's Bar Association. I was an elected member of our State Bar Association's Executive Committee, and I chaired several committees, including the President's Committee on Access to Justice. I was a state president for the American Association of University Women, which works to advance equity. And I now sit on the National Board of Directors. And I am the Social Justice Chair for my local branch of the National Council of Negro Women, for which I co-chair the Staten Island Unity Coalition, which is a coalition that we created of over 20 Black-led, community-based organizations in Staten Island. And if you've ever read about Staten Island in the papers, or you know its reputation, to be able to bring over 20 Black-led organizations together to work collaboratively on issues of common interest was no small feat. It's a very segregated community. And last year, the coalition launched the first ever Staten Island Black Legislative and Policy Agenda, and we are now working tirelessly to get our agenda implemented in Staten Island and New York City. So the more gatherings we have such as this, the more that we work on the local level, the better we will be. The more we are informed about where we are and where we need to go, the faster we can move there. And the more women that are uplifted, the better families, children, and communities will be. So I will end with a couple of my favorite quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt, whom, as we know, is one of the founders of the United Nations. Justice cannot be for one side alone, but must be for both. And it isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. So thank you once again for inviting me to be a part of this august event, and it's really been amazing for me to hear everyone who came before me, and I'm sure everyone else that will be speaking this afternoon.
Thank you very much. We will now hear from Her Majesty Queen Mother Ahasdi. Okay, so I will try to locate her. I will move on to Dr. Lorraine Bukal. Bukile. Thank you. Sorry. Founder for Women of the Now Generation, Botswana.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, and fellow advocates of peace. It is an honor to stand before you today as we commemorate the International Day of Peace. As a Botswana woman from Botswana, I carry with me the voices of my people, the wisdom of our mothers and grandmothers, the resilience of our nation. A nation that is known globally for its peace and democracy. The secret to this is that we are a nation built on the principle of Ubuntu, in other countries known as Ubuntu, the recognition of our shared humanity. At the core, Ubuntu emphasizes the following: respect and compassion for others, community and solidarity, valuing relationships over individualism, human dignity, treating people with fairness and kindness, and lastly, moral character, living with integrity and contributing positively to society. In order to define peace, we must understand that it is not just merely the absence of war. It is the presence of justice, dignity, and equality. It is the